G'day everyone and welcome to this information dump from my time spent in Planet Coaster. I'm pretty much going to be going over as much as I can to try and help you build your shows in Planet Coaster. This is Planet Coaster 1, not Planet Coaster 2, so if you need that, hopefully I'll put out another video when I get a little bit better at that whole sequencer. But this will pretty much just be everything I know that I've used to cheat and used to sort of design my shows. It'll be in chapters, so at the start here, I'll have chapters in the description if you want to skip ahead to what you need, but I'm not sure how long this is going to go. It's pretty much just going to go through us going through the lights, obviously looking around at the examples of the previous stages that I've built. You can see them all around here. Obviously I couldn't add the bigger stages because that's pretty much a whole park that it fits into. Then we'll go over some basic stage setups and basic principles for you to go through. Then we'll move on to overall stage design, how to design your stages, how to work them out and get them working better. And then yeah, just chatting along the way, I guess, but let's just jump straight into it. This is, as you can see, all of the lights that are available in Planet Coaster 1. Now, obviously we have a lot bigger selection than Planet Coaster 2 at the moment. I know that they've just added a whole heap of lights, which has made my videos completely useless, but yeah, this is pretty much everything that you can use in the game as far as light wise. Now obviously we're designing shows and this is strictly sequencer based, so what that means is, if I go into scenery, sorry, I've just come from Planet Coaster 2, so it's a bit hard to jump from back and forwards. So with our sequencer here, it is a lot different than Planet Coaster 2. So if you've been playing around with Planet Coaster 2 and you thought like, I'm struggling with that, Planet Coaster sequencer was a lot more flushed out, and in my opinion, yes, it is better with being able to really fine tune your lights, but both have their pros and cons, but we'll get over them in the thing. So same as Planet Coaster 2. What I mean by available lights for our shows is pretty much anything we can add to our sequences. So currently in front of you right now is 107 lights. That's everything in the game as far as light wise. So what I mean light wise is everything that is in this selection of lights right here is laid out right in front of you, 107 lights. Now the problem that you have is only 60 of these connect to your sequencer. So if I come over here, that means these 60 connect to your sequencer. But what's an easy way to determine what lights connect to your sequencer? Well, there's two ways you can do it. So firstly, as I take a deep breath, sorry if I run out of thing, is you can go through your filters and you can go into property and select triggerable. Now that only selects, if I can get this right, 51 of the lights. Now it's really weird. The filter for this whole lighting section only has, well, see, you can't do that because then it shows you everything. So we want to focus on lights. Only has 51 lights selectable. These 12 lights here, for some reason, are not attached to this filter right here. So you do have to remember that if you're designing your shows and you want to work out which lights you can and can't use, yes, you can use the filters tab, but if you really want to work out how to do it, which is how I normally do it, is I pretty much just lay all the lights out, you go into your sequencer, you just press connect objects to group, and then as you can see, all the lights available are available to just be selected. So there you go, 60 lights that you can use. Now as you can see, for some reason a lot of these lights do disappear with the filter, so be careful of that, as I can show you here that these lights here are used a lot in my show. So if you are just going off of the filter, that is something you do have to consider, that it doesn't in the whole thing itself. But we have a good selection of lights that do connect to your sequencer, so don't stress out, don't worry about it. Like, I'll go through what lights I normally use and stick to. Like these themed lights you won't really go for, depending on what you're designing in your show. So as I did say earlier, this was more focused on what I build inside a Planet Coaster. I know it's a roller coaster game and for some reason we like designing music festival shows and stage shows and weird stuff. So we're a unique bunch in this this game, but we love doing stuff in the game that it wasn't really designed for. So it is a bit sad seeing Planet Coaster 2 missing a lot of this stuff, but this is after the game's been out for a couple of years that we've gotten all this stuff, so it's pretty much just been over time. Now, to go over my favorite lights that I like to use, I'll get rid of the filter. Obviously, starting off, when I started building stage shows, you'll see with this stage when we get over here, was pretty basic with these 3 lights. Now, these 3 lights work very well, but without the resize tool that we do have Planet Coaster 2, it is very hard to hide these lights. Now, you'll see some really good examples when we go over my previous stage shows of how I hid these lights, what you can do to move them around and try to hide them and get the best out of your show. So this one especially is really good if you want to light up the whole front of a stage and not have to do so many individual lights. But yeah, we'll work on that in a second. But as you know, later on in the stage shows, I definitely loved the moving lights. They helped a lot with really making some massive shows. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see where we started and where we're at now with some more advanced lighting. The thing to remember about these moving lights though is that they do not completely turn off. So what do I mean by that? So if we go to nighttime here, so you can see all the lights are on. If you turn all of these lights off, hang on, I'll just connect them to a scenery group so we can make it easier. Oh, be careful of the save. The save might kill our sequencer. Here's this last bar here is obviously the light color, as you can see. So you can change it to whatever you want for that. But when I'm designing my shows, I like to have it on blacked out, right? Sadly, with every other light that there is, if I add this to activate on trigger, so obviously putting it through a sequencer, it turns off. So see, all of these turn off properly. But this, when you press activate on trigger, do not turn off completely. They'll stop moving and spinning, but the light itself it's very hard to see, but you can still see it lighting up. Now, what does that mean? So when we get to our bigger shows like these festivals and stuff like that, you need to remember that while your game is running, all of these lights are still on. They're still beaming out each light. It's just beaming out the color black. They don't turn off properly. I don't know whether that's on Planet Coaster's part, whether they never really thought of it, but it's just something you do have to work around and remember that when you start building more advanced shows that it's going to get very messy and your computer might explode. It's just something to remember of, like when I got down to my Qlimax show, that the Defqon show was alright, mainly because it was outside, so I could move away with the camera. But with my Qlimax show, I wanted it to be inside of a building in the dark. So when I did that, if I wanted to put the camera anywhere close to the stage, it would start jittering the frame rate and really dropping it, because you got to remember you're dragging your camera through all of these light beams that are activated and literally just waiting to. So as you can see, all I have to do is change any of this light and you can see it's constantly activated. It is something you will have to work around and remember, but at the same time it is good because all of these other lights I have to add an activation trigger to get them to turn on, whereas these you just have to do the color change. So everything has its pros, everything has its cons. So let's go over some stages. This will be the next chapter of the thing. Hopefully that helps. I'm not sure what else I can really go over that until we get to us building a small show together, where we'll just do a quick example of that. The other thing I can add to this, is if I want to go on, lately in a couple of my other shows, I've been using these color light panels. So these can also be triggered if you want, say, let's go into my blueprints. Where's my WrestleMania stage? It is here. So, oops. As you can see, with the WrestleMania stage, I use these lighting pieces to pretty much fake that there is like LED screens and stuff like that being used. So these are literally just me changing the colors whenever I need them, whether it's a strobe, whether it's something else. But they work exactly the same as lights. If you are going down that route of building your music festival or whatever you need, remember that you can use these as well. They don't really emit like a lot of light from the game itself. As you can see, it's set up there, but it does work really well when you're trying to do something like a backdrop or something like that. But we'll go over that in a second. So let's jump straight into the stages that I've built. So as you can see, they're all different shapes, all different sizes. You can see my progression. If you're sitting here going, I don't understand how you built this massive show or something crazy or whatever else, understand that I don't think I'm good at this game in any chance, but I did start off terribly. As you can see, this is as basic as it gets for a stage. This was me downloading the game, and this is literally the first thing I built in the game was the Defqon dragon from Defqon Australia. Literally playing around with the light system as an on and off light. So what that means is we didn't have any fade color to this or change color to that. It was literally light on and light off. So every one of these lights, as you can see with how I've hidden them, some of them are single lights like that, and some of them, if I can find a good example, maybe here will do, it just has different color lights to beam up in the light. So what that means is if we go back to night, sorry if this has no structure either, this is going to be a pretty much all over the place video. I am sorry for that. I'm trying to keep it as organized as possible, so I am sorry. But these lights here, as I said, are great. I think I've broken it. Okay, no I didn't. I just paused it. Are great for just illuminating stages. It's a real easy shortcut to light things up, and as I told you before, this stage was literally, I just had a red, a green, a blue, a white, or whatever else around, that in different parts of the show I could just light them up and obviously illuminate the part that I wanted to for however long I wanted to, and that was how I did it. So don't worry about the pyro section or none of that. We will go over that in later on in this video. Obviously not as in depth as the lighting, as this is strictly a lighting thing, but yeah, that's pretty advanced as my show got. This was before I learnt my cheats that I will be telling you about later. So these lights were programmed one by one. Every beat, every movement, everything is programmed in with one sequencer. It hurts to think of me doing that, but it worked. At the time, I had no idea what I was doing. That's why I really hope this video helps you and lets you start designing bigger and bigger shows. My only wish is that you tag me in them, because I love watching them. And yeah, like, I don't know, like whether I could become one of them channels that just watches people's shows and reacts and dissects it. But hey, if you have a really cool show and you want me to look over it and put it on my channel, just let me know, because I really love looking at these things and dissecting them, as you should. Like, you should download any of these. Like my works, I'd love that people download them, but download them and have a look at each section. How did I build it? How did I write it? How did I spell with my terrible writing? But you can see the slow build of each thing was planned out perfectly on paper. Like, I wish I could find the piece of paper I had that had every second of every song written down. Let's start with tip number 1. If you are going to design a show, remember, the song that you pick needs to firstly be an amazing song that you understand that you're going to listen to that song over and over and over again for probably a month, 2 months, 3 months, however big your show might be and however long it can take. You will listen to that song over and over again. So it is key to pick a song that you like, because it's going to suck listening to that song over and over again. Tip number 2 in that case then is also that you're going to end up hating that song, because whenever you hear it, you won't be able to enjoy it as much, because you will know every beat, every drop, every little detail in that song. You will know, because you have to sit here and program every little second of it. That's probably my biggest tip to you of any song. Like, I remember when the KDA song came out for League of Legends, I loved it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This would be so cool in like a stage show, and I did it over and over and over again. I don't think I've listened to that song since I finished and I uploaded this video, because it just rings in your head constantly of what goes on. But pretty much that's my first stage. I was very proud of it. It's the first stage that literally blew up my channel. Like, it was, at the time, I think it was only a couple of us that were doing music festivals in Planet Coaster, and this stage just blew up on the workshop because it was just so different and unique. And I just loved that so many people were like, that's insane that you've rebuilt this whole thing. And it's definitely not perfect in any case. Like, I'd love to, with the knowledge I have, rebuild this and make it even better, but I am getting older and time sadly is catching up with me with some of my builds. So a lot of my time allocation is, how can I help more people in this game than me designing stuff for myself, because it is a lot of time you do have to invest in something like this. But we'll go over like how to set up stages and stuff like that after. But yeah, that's pretty much showing you that you can do it the hard way. You can do it light by light. Sit there, program every beat, every song in here. I can go through every little section and work it out. I'll show you how I work all of these numbers out later. But we'll move on to the next stage, which was the second Defqon stage I built. Now, how did we build this one? Pretty much the same way. As you can see, all of the lights are just different colors. So we have purple, green, white, red down the bottom, white, green. A lot of these lights didn't really reach out when they project. So you'll see if I go nighttime here, we click this, it doesn't really light up the ground like you think it would. Like, you would think this would beam out and be like crazy, and obviously the higher I got, the harder it was for them lights. So you see the green is barely touching the ground, if at all. So what I like to do was I like to focus on lighting the stage itself, and then cheating with these massive like floodlights. That's what I'm just going to call them, floodlights. Which was, I think I had some stuck in here maybe, I'm not sure. I thought I did. It's been a while since, oh yes, up here, sorry, in its hands. And that's how I worked out how to do the more of a flood for the actual audience itself, if there was an audience there, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's hard to focus on like lighting up the stage and making the stage look amazing, but then also moving on to other things of, okay, well, how do I light the venue itself, like the whole area around, which ended up being very hard. It was a lot easier now with the moving lights, because when you obviously get to them, you'll see it's a lot easier to light up every area. But once again, this was the same of all my lights individually being programmed, slowly built up and lit up. If we can go into this, as you can see, again, doing it the hard way. It sucks to go back and see this, but it works really well, because it helps you see, like, if you want to go through all this, I programmed every light. Turn on, turn off. What's next? Okay, this is going with this part. This light can last this long. Every beat of, okay, I want the inside of the mouth of this tiger thing to be on for this whole section of the song. I suppose I could go a little bit into it now, but if you have your phone, if you have obviously on PC your stopwatch, that stopwatch will be your best friend when planning out shows. So what I would do is I would listen to things and I'd be like, okay, I want this part to last for this long. So I would play the song, as I said, over and over again, and you would literally just press start, stop. And it's as simple as that. And then you're literally just putting that time in for, I want this light to last for 120 seconds or whatever else. However that sort of thing you want to design works out. So you can see here that I wanted the eyes to turn on for the whole show. This is what this is setting up, is them eyes being on for the whole show. So obviously that's just working out how long does the show go for. Okay, well it goes for 120 seconds. Let's put that in, done. It might be a bit hard with working out obviously your minutes to seconds and all that, but there's all calculators and stuff like that if you get really stuck. But yeah, it's really cool to see what you can create if you just take your time with it. Like it does look overwhelming. It does look like insane when you see someone's build and you go, I think I was just watching a Tomorrowland video that someone put out the other day, and it's like, what in the world, you made that? And it's like, but then when you start looking into the build and like you start dissecting it and seeing how they did this and that, it really like all does come together. So you can cheat like this in this moment of, as you can see, I feel a good 15 seconds of just having different sections on. In these lights I did include fire in a couple of these things, but yeah, it's up to you whether you put pyro in this part, or what I normally do in my later shows that I've been building is everything is separate. It is lights, it is pyro, it is fireworks. I don't know, pyro can be fireworks as well, but I like to have the flames and everything like that in its own little bubble to really make it easy. And it's hard to explain without obviously sitting and doing a full build with you, but I don't know whether people would watch someone go mental on camera, but it's something that's been asked a lot of me, is to build a stage on probably like YouTube Live or something like that. I will put it out there if that is something you would like to see. I am looking to start building my baby metal concert in Planet Coaster 2. If you would like to just watch the pain of me doing it how I do it, please do put in the comments below that you would be interested in something like that, because most of the time with these shows I just upload the final show and it's just something I work on in the background for a couple of months and eventually release it. But if you want to see it, I suppose I can do it. But yeah, so now we'll move on to, you'll see the shift now of when lights came into the game. We won't go to this stage, we'll come back over to the KDA stage, because this was my first show practicing with the moving lights. You can see the simplicity of it, and obviously the scaled down version of having everything already set up and ready to go. So this is when I started doing things differently. You'll see here it's heavily cabled, heavily manipulated with or not manipulated, what's the word, heavily loaded up with moving lights. They were a very fun lighting thing to do. But actually, no, I think I didn't do this one first. I think I did the Defqon stage first. I think I did, because I can see the 1 and 2, but I hadn't learnt that yet. So it is true. I am sorry, I do apologize. It is this one I did first, and this one was my last lighting show that I did everything individually. So every light, every build up is programmed, every section. That is something that I eventually did move on from and did change, but you'll see the shift in my shows from this, what I learnt doing this. So pretty much just experiment with what you're building and how you're doing it and seeing where it takes you. We'll show you what I mean that I said before of all these moving lights are on. So it's very hard to see but I can see little streaks out of every light. So you do remember that when you're designing your shows, that as big as they are and as crazy as they are, the more moving lights you add, you can't turn them off properly, or how you really should be able to in the game. But it is what it is. We work around it. So with the moving lights, which hopefully I remember to show you later, is if I want this light to turn on, I have to... Oh, why is all the confetti shooting? Oh, I think I've just placed it. I'll move over here where I can talk properly. Where's a good light? If I want a normal light to turn on and off, I have to add an activation light. So activate the light to turn on. I then also have to add a change color, or say if I want it to go red or blue or whatever, I have to add both of them into the same thing. Now with the moving lights, because they're on all the time, if I want this light to move, I have to add an activation move. So you're pretty much just activating the light. So here goes the animated light. We'll move the light, if I can find one that works. So there you go. You can see that that is turning the light on and off. It's turning on for 2 seconds and fading for 2 seconds. Now, if I can find, I don't know where I'm going to be able to find it. I think this is just a slow pulse. Yes. So you can see I filled every one of these sequences with as much as I can. And for anyone that has designed shows before, they'll know that for some reason, when you change these, it refreshes the page and shoots it back up to the top. So then you've got to scroll back down, find what light you're on, change that, and as soon as I change that, it goes like that. So Planet Coaster, if you are listening, and you could do a little update to not have that scroll back down so I can stay where my lights were. It is probably one of the frustrating things that you will find, but you'll get over it really quickly when you go mental. But I'm just trying to find a light where that moves for you so I can show you. I'm sorry if I'm rambling on. Intermission, maybe. No? I will find one. Oh, I know what lights move. The middle lights move. If I can find them ones. Okay, lights. Which I think is these ones. So you can see that I've changed the name of them to try and be able to make them move. So when they trigger, there you go. So you'll see them move, and then you'll see them activate when I wanted them to activate. So what that's pretty much doing is I had to work out, okay, this light, if I want it to play at this certain part of the song, so what, 12 seconds, let's see where I had it. If I want that light, so here, we'll focus on number 2, which is this light here. If I wanted that song to turn green, sorry if the confetti cannons, hang on, I'll just try to move away from the confetti cannons. I didn't realize that they were shooting in your ear, sorry. Let's say the song is playing, right? So we're at 46 seconds into the song. Now, you have to add, obviously, another 8 seconds to that, is when I want that light to change green, and that light will fade in, swap color for 2 seconds, and it's pretty much just the light beaming down and obviously lighting up the audience. If you want to make that light move and you want to have that obviously in the down position, at 2.5 seconds, I had to make sure that that light was moving in order to get that effect. So it's another thing you have to remember if you're doing moving lights and you want them to just illuminate as the sky's coming down. So let's see if I can show you what I mean by that. It's probably a lot easier to show than do this. So you'll see the red lights beam. Them lights are moving up right now, and then on the way down they activate to light up the crowd. Just that little effect, I had to make sure that the lights were moving, were twisting, and then turning on right when I wanted them to, and it's already bringing back nightmares of when I had to do it. But that's pretty much the only thing with moving lights that was, I'd say, the hardest thing to work out. but you'll get it. It's pretty easy if you really think of it. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought because my brain wants to watch the show. But we will move on to the new update that I worked on. So after spending a lot of time in Planet Coaster, and obviously watching what other people were creating and doing, I seen a lot of people creating different things with sequences for other stuff, like with animatronics, with lights for their roller coasters and stuff like that, which ended up snowballing an idea I had of, well, could I design a show and then copy it with a blueprint, like a blueprint that you make yourself, to the other side, and that show played. So it took a long time for me to perfect and work out how I can do it. But if you've seen my other video, you know what I mean by that. I pretty much designed, if I can get the thing, this whole side of the stage. Now, it's very obvious when you see it that that whole side of the stage is a show. That's all I designed. That whole other side that you're seeing there did not exist of lighting. So pretty much when I first designed the stage, I pretty much build out everything I want before putting any lights on it. This is how I want the stage to look. Then I work on the lights, which is obviously that whole side for the whole show, perfect it, get it down to how I want it. Then I just blueprint it over to the other side, switching all the lights, mirroring it to the other side, syncing up the sequencer and pressing play. That's the secret to my show. That is the biggest secret I can give you if you're designing shows, is to cheat that way. It is the most time-saving thing I can teach you in this whole video. If you're going to take anything away, please cheat to do your shows. It is so much easier for you to be able to do bigger and bigger shows, and my cheat will only get more and more advanced the more we go into the other sections of this build. But this was my first trial of, as you can see, the different truck had all the different light pieces on. This is obviously the final sequencer that had it all linked up. Then I copied it to the other side, and then you go over here and you pretty much just have the main show, which links this truck with all of these lights together, and voila, you have a show. And was a pretty big breakthrough in my whole Planet Coaster journey and designing lights, because I probably cut maybe 2 months out of my normal builds. I think this took me maybe, I'd say maybe 2 months to build this one, maybe 3 to build that, and then obviously the bigger one, that was a big one. That was a very long time building that. But then this was done in, I'd say, probably 2-3 weeks. Like, it was really time effective. I may have exaggerated with them times, by the way. I don't really remember, because it was all a blur of what I did in them videos, because yeah, it was a very long time ago. But as you can see, when we move on, we get into probably the most advanced show I've done, mainly because of just the amount of frame rates I dropped trying to film it, the difficulty in trying to sync it with music and trying to get the stage to illuminate properly, because I don't know if you know, but you can design a show in Planet Coaster and it looks alright here. You can design a show in Planet Coaster in the dark that looks alright here, but you obviously have the moon, which is behind a cloud, thank you very much, lighting up the ground. But when you bury the stage like I did, so I pretty much just emptied out a whole park. I dug a massive hole, put the stage down inside of it, built a massive shell that looked like an empty stadium in it. Very, very basic. I think I still have the stadium, actually, if I can find it really quick. Don't mind if this part is blurred out, because there is some things in here that I have kept secret from you guys. So I'm sorry, but you won't get to see them, because they're still scheduled to come out eventually when I have the balls to release them. But yeah, that's I don't have it, sadly, sorry. But when it was down underground, I then had to redesign my show because you wanted to illuminate stage points. If you haven't seen, this is based off of the Qlimax 2009 stage, which was insane. This was my first introduction to hardstyle, was this on a DVD that me and my friend brought, and it was insane watching it. So I knew every intricate detail of this stage, where as soon as I seen these random pieces, I was like, I think I could pull it off. So illuminating the stage, illuminating the surrounding stadium, so you'll see lights start to be added to the outside to illuminate things more than the stage. That's when it turned into like, okay, this is getting very advanced stage wise. So same concept as before. So you can imagine that whole side is the side that I designed, but we got more advanced with this. So what I mean by that is, you might notice that every one of these towers here is the same. So pretty much, instead of you looking at it as I had, sorry if I made you vomit then by flying around, but as you can see, everything, so just delete everything from this side. We're only looking at this side. That's one box. That's a whole show design built in one. You then zoom in again. This is a box completely designed separately to the show, for the whole show. So you only have to animate one of them. This is a box. Oops, I don't want to light too much. This is a box. These are boxes. This is a box. This is a box. And then obviously these are boxes. These are box. Well, when we get into Pyro, you'll see it. And then the whole back of the stage is a box. Every single one of them combined into making up just one side of the stage. So what that means is I had a full layout of all of these sequences that you see on the back of this truck. I don't think I hid any inside in this one. No. So all of these sequences are literally just different sections of the stage. So they might be just these lights at the back. They might just be the lights illuminating this, or the lights back here, or the eyes, or the surrounding area bits. But it was making up all these different sections. Instead of me slaving around doing like, oh, okay, like I've got to animate all of these lights in one go, just chip away slowly. Slowly chip away at it. It's so much easier of just going, okay, I'm going to design what the lights, the eyes do for the whole show. Now, obviously you're cheating, because this is 5 lights that you're essentially lighting up. Rather than going through each light going, oh, okay, like this is fade by 4, play for 2 seconds. Okay, now I've got to do the same over on this light. So this light's got to mirror this light, and you've got to do all the same. Just do all of this in one. Design the sequencer, have it all done, the whole show complete. Then all you need to do is, once the whole show is finished, transfer it over. It's completely done already. You do have to mirror it, so just remember that you do have to mirror it, but way easier for you to do if you really think of how to design it and stuff like that. But yeah, as I said, you might see parts where, well, I want it to go bing, 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 and like slowly pulse up. I would cheat in that way as well. I would have different sequences that would be differently colored. So when we design later on, in a later chapter, you'll see what I mean by changing colors on certain ones that I knew I would have to go into when the show was complete. And then I would have that as a different color to go, okay, anyone with this color, you need to go up by 0.2 or 0.4 or whatever time I allocated, so that when that one played, it would play a little second after, a little second after, a little second after. And that's how you would build that delay, instead of having to, I'm going to program all of these lights at once. But as I said, like this is available on the workshop. All of these are available in the workshop. Download them, dissect them, play around. That's probably the best thing you can do, is just going through each of these sequences and going, okay, if I can get out of this. Sorry, going from Planet Coaster to Planet Coaster 2 is hard. Look, I wasn't a fan of that wagon wheel thing when you press tab, but damn, it's just so much easier now when you go back to Planet Coaster. You're like, oh, I keep clicking random buttons. So let's see. Strobe back red triggers. Let's see where this goes to show you off. Press play. Okay, so there you go. Just that simple lighting effect is one sequencer of probably maybe 2 seconds of the show, maybe. But let's see, one. Cool. Oh. I'm trying to pause it. Damn it, it's too quiet. It's too far. Damn it, I won't get it. Way too fast for me to pause it. But yeah, that's pretty much that show setup. And then to really bring it simple was my New Year's Eve light show that used a lot more pyro than lighting, but it did have a little bit of lighting in it with some of the other effects that I'm not really seeing, but same concept as them lights, but with pyro, if that makes sense. So this is just showing you that you can do it not only with lighting, but the pyro in the game as well. Pretty much anything with a sequencer you can copy over. So it pretty much was me designing the whole show was this boat, then copying it to here, then copying it to here, but then splitting it and making it better, bigger, and then that's your show done. Pretty simple really when you think about it. If I show you another blueprint that I will blur out so you don't cheat and see other things, was the Defqon stage on the ground. I'll put that there, and then I'll also place the oh no, I did have the the Qlimax arena. Sorry, I did have that. My bad. Yeah, so as you can see, it's just very basic that I had underground. No like detailed seating or nothing. Very basic because I knew people wouldn't be really staring at that. But then if I add the WrestleMania to show that off, what else can I add? You want to see the Raw stage probably. It's a mess. I should have put all these out. And then I suppose I can put up the early world stage that I had before I did all the lighting for it to show you that as well. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so I'm not sure like what part people are up to, whether they've seen my other video explaining how I did lighting and stuff like that to help you cheat. So this was the same. This was the COVID stage for Defqon. And this section was literally just this. That's how I designed my show. Was just that square. No going around doing every light constantly. It was literally that. Pretty crazy when you think of it. Like when you watch my shows, if you download them or if you watch them on the YouTube, it's very easy to see when you have it explained like that of these lights here. Yes, they do chase, but you'll see this light here is this light here. So when this light runs here like this, it's pretty much just this light running here like this. So they all match up perfectly. And it's just funny to see how easy it was when I discovered it. And I was like, oh, I don't even know if I discovered it or whether I seen it, but I'm just so happy that that's just something that you can do in the game and like make that part of your life a lot easier. But here's the other example of the stage itself of WrestleMania. As you can see, every one of these towers was a section. You can pretty much just see it now that I've pointed it out, that every stage is split in a certain dimension. And as I said in the other video, that can be made up with as many boxes as you want. I could, if I really wanted to, have worked on this tower to do the whole lighting design, and then every one of these could just be copied in and then replaced in a different orientation to make it look exactly like that. That's literally how simple it is. So what you'd see if I did with this one is that there would be one section that I designed, that there would be the other. So what that means is if I copied these over, they would be used on this side of the stage, but they could also be used for the ramp. These little pieces could be used for these pylons. These big long pieces here could be used for the front of the stage there. It's just so many different like combinations you can use that design with. But as I said, we will get over all of that later, but we'll move on to some of the other stages here. So as you can see, once again, half the stage designed. If I can get under the lighting, half the stage designed. Real simple stuff. This is probably a really good example for you to see. This was the earliest design I had for my 2020 world stage that I built. So you're pretty much seeing the setup I had for these lights here. That is one section. That is how I was designing the show. It would be copied to this one, then copied to this one, and the show would be done. And that's pretty much it of how I design my show. So you can even see here is the lights for this side of the sign here were just copied over to the other side, and then it's literally just filming the same side each turn. Real simple, real easy. But let's get into building something, I guess, if that's what I'm up to. Let me check my thing to make sure I've gone over everything I need to. Some more tips of the overall show design when designing your stages. My biggest thing I try to remember is imperfections are needed in your shows. I know that might sound very weird, but for me personally, I feel like that makes it look more real when it's not just this completely perfect show. So you might have a light trigger a second earlier, or play in a random spot, have a piece of fire go off at the wrong time, which just makes the show, as I said, in my opinion, just look way more realistic than what it would be of every beat of the song, this goes off and this happens and this changes. Yes, there are sections of that. So say like the end shows for most of these, they would have that sort of stuff all synced up and perfect, ready to go. But as I said, it's to me, it just looks more better when like just things don't work out perfectly, that you can tell that someone's here in the front of house, like programming the show and clicking a light to change at a certain time. They're not going to have that instant reaction to the beat of a song. They might have heard the song a million times, but things do go wrong with your lights and such like that. So that is another thing for you to remember. Also, I moved on, now that I look at this stage, from obviously these big floodlights that are hidden underneath the ground and everything like that, illuminating my stage. I then moved on to having my moving lights light up the stage, because that was a lot easier. Sorry, I've seen the people at the front of the stage. That was a lot easier to light up certain elements, is when it hits it, it lights up wherever you're pretty much pointing it, so that helps as well. But yeah, let's go and jump into a little thing if I can't remember anything else. Done all that. Sweet. Okay, well, let's just do a little show together. So we'll pretty much just do a basic light here. We'll make it as simple as we can to not overwhelm people with what's going on, and make it so you're just going crazy. I want everyone to be able to design and build a show in here if they really want to. So you'll see here is what you can do is, let's say you have both sides of the stage and it's set up that if the stage is complete, it builds a complete circle. How are we going to design this show to easily copy it so that at the end we have a complete circle like this? Okay, what I would do is I would delete all of these. All of them. Yes. So, what that means is, I would design this section of the stage so that when I build my lighting and I copy in the stage, that's how I'm making my circle. So, let's design this and show you how I do things. I'll get rid of my triggerable. We'll go back to our sequencer and get started. So the sequencer is kind of the same but different than Planet Coaster 2 if you're playing that. Very simple if you're designing your lights and your shows. As you can see here, the lights are activated. We will point them down so you can see them on the ground to make this section easier. Okay, so what happens when we select all these lights? Whoa, what's over there? Sorry, I was a bit distracted. Let's get rid of that because that's going to annoy people. Right, sorry, just doing a bit of housekeeping. When you've set up your stage, you might build your stage first, then do the lighting. You might do the lighting, then the stage. That's completely up to you of how you do it. When you're connecting your lights to the sequencer, it will delete it. Now, yes, I understand people have played with the sequencer. They might know this stuff already. I'm just trying to help people that might not be up to this section of designing shows and stuff like that in Planet Coaster. So when you add it to your sequencer, obviously when you press play, it'll turn on and turn off. So it's going to play for 3 seconds. We'll bring the seconds down. Sorry, I'll explain all that in a second to make it easier for you. But it's going to turn on and turn off in 1 second. Now you might think, hey, that's pretty cool, but I want it to swap color. I want it to play for 1 second, and I want to change it to blue. What happens when I press play now? Well, only one of them turned on, but this one did change to blue. That's weird, isn't it? Let's go 1, 2, 3 to track these. So, we want this one to turn on, okay. This one, okay, it's changing blue. This one to change green. So how do we get this one to turn on? Well, what you have to do is you have to select it again. Say it's playing for 1 second. We need it to play for 1 second. Now, when it activates, it'll change color. And it changes to blue and activates. That is something you need to remember to do for all of your lights. Now, there are different ways to cheat. There are different ways to make this easier. You could, for example, have a, let's see, we'll change that to color. Oops. Oops, hit the mic, my bad. We'll change this to activate. So what that means is, instead of having this one in here, I'll have this one in here. So that means that I could set this for 1 second. Now, I would just set these to go off at the same time. If this is at 5 seconds, this one has to be at 5 seconds. If this one's at 0, this one has to be at 0. So that way, when it's activating, it's just turning on. So what's that doing is it's just doing this and this. Now you might be going, well, how come it's showing white? Well, that's just activating the light. Now, how you counteract that is you obviously change the color to black at the end. We'll get into that when we get down to it. But let's just continue on and we'll add these lights. We'll add 2 and 3. We want them to go for 1 second each. This is all you're doing is just repeating action. Turn on for 1 second and change. Now we'll change these ones. We want this to fade this time. We want it to go on and off. There you go. Okay, so it's fading, but when you play both of them, it's fading in and out. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't want it to just fade on white, or flash on white and then fade. We will go into that. No. We're going to go from now, Nathan. Got nothing of my voice. Now, we're going to try to have this in a circle movement. So, we want this one to be first, this one to be second, this one to be third. Real simple. And obviously, as I said before, these two must mirror each other. You could put them both in the same one. You could put them separate. I like to have them separate so that I remember. But as I said, that is completely up to you of how you do it. And then all you do is you press sort. And now, that's how it's going to trigger. So I'll change 2 back to fade to just play on trigger. think that's what I thought. Yeah. I didn't change it back to 1 second. So we're just going to have these all going off the same. So there you go. It's just a slow pulse to the left or the right. Real simple, real easy to remember. As simple as it can be. Now I might say, let's change the color. So we want to swap color. We want it to be a red for 1 second and fade. Well, this one, to swap color, we want it to be red to fade for 1 second, and you will need to do this for every light. You slowly go through and fade it. So now, when they activate, and when they fade, they'll fade like that. And then when together, you can have really cool lighting effects. Now, that's more of an advanced move if you want, as like if you're in a festival show, you might have it activate and then change color in the show to really like make it that the festival light vibe of it changing really quickly. But for this example, what we'll do is, let's say I've completed this whole section. I'm like, okay, I've done what I need to do. What do I need to do next? Well, I would go into all of these lights and I would change them to black. Oops, to black. Now you're probably thinking, well, why do that? Why do that when all of these shows these lights are on? As you can see with my Qlimax one, all of them are faded to black. So what does that do? Well, when you go back into your sequencer, instead of it just activating like normal, now when I press activate, which I'll open these back up, it looks like nothing's happening. But what it's really doing is it's activating on black. What you want it to do is change color. So now it all comes together as when I press play, they all sync up together, I should say, which makes a really cool and easy effect that just goes around and just does it like that. Now, what this is just the first section. So what I would do is I would say pulse red. So you can take this lesson as far as you want or as little as you want. You could have 100 lights in this section. You could have 3. You could have 1. You could have whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I'm just showing you as basic as I can, and then it can just be your whole show if you want it to. So I've designed that. Awesome. That looks sweet. Well, what can I do next? Well, if I copy this, move it down, look what happens. I have the same show element. Well, what does that mean? So what I'll do is, you can do it too. It depends on what you really want your organization to be like. You can have it as messy as you want. You can have it all over the place. Let's find some lights that will be easy to read for you guys. We'll go here. And then we just do pulse red. Whoops. Now this might not make sense to you guys. So, but it will eventually. Pulse red. I'll change the background to black and then white, black. Actually, we'll go black, white. Pulse red. There we go. So now, let's say you were like, well, that looks cool, but I want it to pulse blue. Then all you do is you come into your color and you change it to blue. It is literally as simple as that for what you want to do. So you are pretty much designing elements to your show. So now the lights will pulse blue. So then all I'll do is I'll move the sign down and you literally just change it to blue. Might change this as well to really get it across. Make sure you change your sequencer as well, as this will make sense at the end. Then all we do is we copy the sequencer again, and you can do this as many times as you want. As I said, my Worlds 2020 stage, if you download that and really look into the behind the scenes of that, I think I was up to 220 sequences for one section of the stage. So obviously multiply that by, I think I had 4 or 5 sections of the stage. It adds up, but it really helps with what you're trying to do. So let's say now I don't want it to do what that is doing. I don't want it to pulse red. I just want it to strobe on and off. So all I need to do is I just need to change this this, and now they'll all turn on at the same time. And then I might change that to, oops, all blue, 1 second. Oops, X. So you got to remember you've only got a certain amount of text. 1 second. Now, when we press play, it'll go like that. As you can see, this one's still the same for the pulse red, pulse blue. If you want, say if you don't want to have to change them all to red, all you have to do, grab the red. You can probably grab both if you really want to be smart with it, like that. And you'll say, all red, 1 second. Add it here, change your times like we did before, and they'll all go red. So you're pretty much, as I said, slowly but surely building up sections. So in a lot of my shows, depending on how big they are, I might do these in 10 light sections. So you've got to think of, as I said before, of when you would do this and it scrolled back up at the top, you might only be able to do, let's see how many I can do before it. I'll show you what I mean. So if I grab all this, if I keep going, actually no, let's do it a different way. I'll grab this. I'll grab another sequencer to show you. So I just want it to be separate to what we're building to not confuse you. Oops, grab that. Let's say I grab all them. 99, awesome. So let's say I'm down here, right? I'm programming my show and I'm like, okay, well I want this one to swap color on trigger. I want it to change to red to 1 second to fade. Oh, see what it did there? Just jump back up. Now, that only happens, really weirdly, when you press fade. If I change this color to red, no problem. Change this time to 3 seconds, no problem. Doesn't skip up. But as soon as I press fade to color, which is what I want to add, I get thrown back up. So what does that mean? You might be thinking like, well, how does that affect you? I now have to scroll down and try to find that light back down here. Oh, there it was. Oops, that's not the one. This one here. And then I get to change my fade time. Yes, you can do it where it... where's another light? Oops. Swap color. Fade on trigger. You can change it here. So let's say, oh yeah, well, I wanted it to fade for 5 seconds. Sweet. I then have to scroll down and it doesn't show me where that light was. So I've got to go back through. Oh, there it is there. And then I can go on to my next light. So when I design my shows, I like to keep it to where I can either animate all of these lights. So how many is that before the scroll thing comes up? So that, say if I do this, I mean, it's not going to work, is it? Of course I had to select a light that didn't change on color trigger. Let's delete some then, and hopefully flower lamp. No, flower lamp won't work. Sorry, so this is what I mean, is not all the lights that you have selected can change the color on them. So here we go. So we got to swap color. Why did I go down the bottom? Oh no, see now I'm doing it down the bottom. How annoying. Okay, so if I swap color on trigger, now when I press fade, it doesn't go anywhere. See how it's still selected? So then I can just go to the next light, and the next light, and the next light, and just work my way down. So it's just a lot easier to only set up as many lights as you can. You might like scrolling down to the bottom. As I said, I did that for the Defqon stage here. Scrolled down, change the light, back up the top. Scroll down, change the light. It was just that repeat, that stupid process over and over again. But it's what it works. So, as I said, these can be done in any, so let's go strobe, any sort of design that you want. Whoops. So I've got the microphone in front of me, so it's very hard. So see how I didn't change that? Make sure you change both. You might just change these names and not need this, but I'm more going off of the whole keeping track of things, which will make sense in a second. Strobe white. Let's go in. Now, let's go for white. 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 Let's go 0. So 0.2 is the lowest you can get with a fade of 0.1. That is very quick. Now, as you can see, this activate is still set to 1, right? And that's a very quick strobe. So what that means is I can duplicate this if I really want to. This is just showing you that if you really want to get advanced, you could just have this activate for 60 seconds and put these color changes up to 60 seconds and it'll do the whole thing. So if we did 0.5, I think that might be close enough. So there you go. See how the light will activate twice? We might go 0.25. See how close we can get it. Yeah, we can get it very close to 0. See, 2.0. So there is a limit to how quick these lights can activate back to back. So let's see. So 2.1 is as far as it goes, but I normally go a little bit step above, because obviously the more lights, the more it's got to process what's going on. So in my head, it's like, well, if I just have it at 2.5, it's a lot easier to work out what we're going to do. So we'll delete that. But as you can see, you can just do that all the way down. You can have this whole section here as, I want this section to be a fast strobe that strobes for 5 seconds and it's just going to go da 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 da. Now you might be saying, well, what if I want to do it a different way? What if I want to cheat? So let's work out another cheat. So we want this to play for 10 seconds, right? Now this is going to go activate 10 seconds. So I'm just trying to keep track for myself. Strobe 0.2. I might go duplicate 2.5, duplicate 5.0. Now that's pretty much how you will design your shows. So it'll activate for 10 seconds. I can do this for 10 seconds of it strobing. Now we'll see 7.5, 1, and like that's literally it. Is the process can just continue on all the way up to 10 seconds if you really want it to. If that's what you want your show to be, you can design it like that. So what does that mean for if you've got multiple things firing? So if this is going for 10 seconds, will this change to red? Will this change to blue? Will this change? Whoops, click on the wrong button. Man, this thing is so fidgety. So as you can see, we'll do a pulse red, but then I'll go strobe white. So see how it doesn't activate, because these ones here have a small activation and these ones here have a large activation. Now, I tend to have problems of, I might activate it for 120 seconds. And that can be confusing for the system itself, because if you have so many intricate parts, you might just have your lights not firing with each other. It's hard to explain and hard to show you without designing a full show, but you will encounter lights not triggering or activating if you do too many. I know that in Planet Coaster, I'm trying to work out now of how many lights I can have playing at the same time, because I didn't know there was a limit. So you'd see with the New Year's Eve fireworks that I did in Planet Coaster 2, with the concerts that I've done in Planet Coaster 2, fireworks don't trigger and lights don't trigger at certain points. Now, that's from me doing too many lights, too many things in one go. That's just the way it is, I guess. That's just how it works. But yeah, it's something you do have to look out for. So let's just delete these. We'll try and keep it simple of what I need to do for the show, because I don't know how long this has gone for, but I want to take up too much of your time with everything that's going on. So we want this to play for 1 second. We have our strobe going for 0.2. We might want it to go 2.5, 5.0, 7, 5. Now you would think, well, I should do 1 here. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See what happened there? So on the 5th, this didn't activate. See that? So what that's doing is it's going, okay, we're activating for 1 second. And we're going to have 5 strobes go off. So it's going activate, 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 just the light. So that's something you also have to remember with your activation. So what I would normally do is when you get to the next stage that we're about to hit, you do have to remember that if you're adding this sequencer and this sequencer with these lights, you have to account for, if I was adding this one and I was adding this one, that's where I would add this light, is to trigger on the 1 second. So I would delete this and it'll make sense now. We'll get into that now, I'm sorry. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this to show, let's just say show left. That can be whatever you want. That can be boom mic 1, let's say it's this stage left, or this tower 1, or it can be named whatever you want. What I would do is I would then put in my music. I would then, well, I suppose I'd set a timer. I'd click a random ass light. Let's just go this over here. And I would go 60 seconds or 120 seconds or whatever your music is, because this is where you're going to repeat and repeat and repeat, and this is going to be your light show setup. So we don't touch this again. Timer is just the whole thing. So we go show, and let's say the scene is going on and stuff like that. You pretty much have your show set up here. You've done the hard work in setting all of these up. You can do hundreds of combinations. The more you do, the more it will help you with this. I cannot stress that enough. That is the easiest way I have found to make a lighting show in Planet Coaster, is design these. You're literally just copying, once you've set them up and that, you're literally just rolling with copying and pasting, changing the sequence, copy, pasting, changing the sequence a little bit more, maybe a little bit faster, maybe a little bit slower. You will have all your show elements set up before you even touch this. You might do bits and pieces. You might start designing your show. Then you're like, oh, I need a faster bit here. You can just go in here, copy this over, make that little section you want faster, then just go back in here and select it. It's that simple. So your show will play and you'll go, well, in this section I want it to pulse red. Oh, that's awesome. Well, in this section I want it to pulse green. Well, that's awesome. Well, look what happens. They clash. So that is something you do have to remember of. Okay, well, I want this one to be at 1 second. I want it to play. And then it'll go back over and it'll work it out. Now it doesn't trigger. So what do you have to do? You have to go 110. And there you go. It'll trigger. So remember that they clashed because they're the same lights. They are clashing because you have these set at 1 second. So anything in 1 second will not trigger the other one. I think it's 110. We'll try 102 and push it to see where it triggers at. So there you go. You can get it to 102 if you want. That would just mean that, let's say you do the next one. What time do you think that'll be? Do you think it'll be 202? Nope. It'll be 2.04, I'm pretty sure. So the way I normally design it is I'll go 105. As I said, you can get really tight with it. So that when I do this one, it's 210. You're literally just adding 5 milliseconds onto it. And then that's just how I normally design my shows, of having it like that. You can have it as 1.10, 2.20. As long as you're progressing that time, it really helps with what you're trying to do. So that this one goes, then this one goes, then this one goes, which is, as you can see, the all blue. Now, the reason why it looked so messed up at the end, so here I'll play it again just to show you, is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it's trying to trigger all of these at once. Now it won't do that because by the time this triggers, it's only up to this light. So it's like, oh, I can only trigger this one. So see? So then what I'll do is I'll keep moving this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Pulse blue. All on. Let's go to 250 to really push it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, see? So now we'll go, let's do 150 here. We'll go to 3 here to really space them out so I'm not messing it up. 3.50. There you go. So see, even there, it's still delayed of what it wants to do, of what it can do. There you go. So 3.60 is what you would go at as doing the all timer. Now that doesn't mean you're going to have the same problem with this one, because that means that you could probably do 4 for that last one. Let's have a look. As you can see, it'll strobe on and nothing. So we go for 10. Like you'll work this out of, say this pulse red. What I was explaining before was you can go in as much detail as you want with this. You might have this go for, well, I need this section of the song goes for 5 seconds. I want this sequencer here to pulse red for 5 seconds. So you might set that whole sequence up so that all you need to do is put that one pulse red there and that whole section of the song is gone. Ta-da! You've just completed a massive section of your show without having to program over and over and over again. But let's keep going here. We'll keep going and designing a little show. I'm going to turn them around because I think that's what's confusing everyone with this one. This one. I'm going to put them at 5 to move them back for now. On 1.10. Whoops. Stop. 0. 1.10. On. Then we'll pulse blue at 2 maybe. On. 2 won't work. What did it work then? Let's see. On. Pulse. See how it skips the first one? So we know we've got to go. We'll sort this to 210. On. Slowly pulse. Still skip the second one, so we go to 220. On. And there we go. 220. So we'll go 330. We'll try that. On. Left to the right. And then it goes a bit too quick, so we'll go 340. On. See, as I said, it's the repetitiveness of it that makes probably this the hardest part, but once you get the hang of it and see that it's a lot easier than what you think it is, and then we'll put a strobe at, let's say 5. On. There we go, we're getting closer. We'll do 6 just to really push it. Not to make it overcomplicated. As I said, you can make this as tight as you want and like as clean as you want. But there you go. So let's say you've designed your whole show. As I said, these can be as many as you want. This can even be as many as you want. You might have part 1 of the show, the chorus, the second drop, the beat, or whatever like you want to organize it as. You can do it like that. So I just have it as show left. So what we need to do is, let's say this is all finished. When you're said and done, that's all already a staging, you will simply save as blueprint. I'll blur all this out so that you can't see all my other things, I'm sorry. But you'll save it as a blueprint. Let's just randomly scribble letters. That can be as many letters as you want. Oh, I need to add a tag, sorry. It doesn't really matter where you add it. But you've now saved that as a blueprint. Now, what we do, go blueprint. We try to find the one we created. Here it is here. And there you go. You've created that show. Now, you might place that here. And now, when you press play, them lights will trigger exactly how you programmed it, exactly how you laid it, and it's done. Now, what I'll normally do is I'll continue on. And every one of them shows will be set up, ready to go. All them lights will trigger exactly how you set it. Now, the next part that you will add is, let's say you've added that whole section of the stage. You might have done this whole section of the stage. Now let's program everything working together in unison. So this will be, let's try main show left. So remember what I was saying before about making sure you name your sequences? See how when I have my sequences all named, it really helps when you're trying to edit certain sections. Like you might find something that, oh, this triggered at the wrong time. Well, what part was it? Well, it was the red strobe, and you'll be able to assign the red pulse easily. So in your main show, let's see, we go stage left, or let's try part 1. You might have it as, you will now go select, 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 all of them major components. Instead of having to select all this for each stage, you've literally created 100 of these, simplified it into this, and then you're simplifying all of that into this. So that now I've made that up as 4 sequences, will now all turn on. You're probably asking, well, why isn't it turning on and off? Well, this is the secret thing that I forgot and only remembered now. Remember the timer that we set? So this is still playing for 2 minutes. Remember to delete your timer. Haha, I got you. I set you up with something so you remember. Make sure you delete your timer, because that sequencer will keep playing until it's it finished that timer. So that's my bad. I stuffed that one up. So now, without cheating and editing, when you press play, it will all work. I didn't press pause. See how I didn't press stop on these ones, so it's still playing, waiting for, yeah, dang it. Watch ready. So we'll go into this and it'll still be playing. So we got to press stop. We'll go into this one. This one should be stopped by now. Nope. See how it's still playing? Should have pressed stop. But now with them timers gone, it shouldn't do that again. Now it should work. See, this is I'm showing you as raw as it is. It's all real. Now they all trigger perfectly. There we go. So we have pretty much created maybe a little section of the lights, maybe a whole section of your stage. It's completely up to you with how elaborate or simple you make this. It's as simple as that. Now you might be asking, well, what if I want the strobe to slowly go separately? I want the strobe to be a little bit different or something like that. You simply, all you have to do is say if you want, let's make it easy. We want the strobe light to slowly pulse around the circle. Now all I'll do is I will go into the white one. I might change like my color to, let's say oops, no, that's the text, my bad. A red, like that might mean, remember that after you've done this whole sequencer, to change it, you might change it for this part, you might change it for the other part. It's completely up to you how you do it. But all it means is when that strobe's now, you go into here, when you have your show, you're going to say play at 6. Okay, awesome. Then I'll go into this one, play at 6:50. Awesome. When I go into this one, play at 7. Play at 7:50. Like it's up to you how you do that section. If you want the effect to run around the thing. You might even just program it to do it separately. Now our strobe will slowly make its way around the circle. And that is pretty much it. That's as simple as I can make it without designing a full show with you. I know that some people might have wanted a full show and wanted a full explanation, but I don't know how long this video is. I'd have to be reaching nearly an hour now. My voice is killing me to get a drink and stop talking. So I have no idea whether this video has helped you. I'd have no idea what you would do with all this information. But as I said, I want people to be able to have fun designing shows and to know that it's not as crazy as what you might think. It's not as overwhelming as you might think. It's very easy to create massive shows in this game. Planet Coaster 2 will probably get there at some point. It probably will get to the point where we can do shows like this. That sequencer is kind of the same, but the timeline thing is miserable to use trying to slide it along. It's still early days with that. Hopefully it does get better. Who knows with how Planet Coaster goes. But yeah, we'll see how that goes with that. But if you do have any questions still, please do put them in the comments. I will try to do a part 2, and I'll obviously do another lighting video for Planet Coaster 2 now that they've completely stuffed all of our lights. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of going over my notes for what I wanted to talk about. To recap, you don't have to do a whole show in one go. You don't have to do whole sections in one go. Find something that you can focus on small, whether it be a lighting tower, whether it be a music speaker or the front of the stage or whatever you want to do. Separate it into sections and make it easier for yourself. Don't just go, oh, I'm going to design a whole show in one go and program every light separately. You don't have to. It's just way easier to separate it all, copy it over as a blueprint, and literally make your life easier. It's as simple as that. Thank you so much for watching. I am struggling to think of anything else. It's currently 2 a.m. in the morning here, and I am very tired after trying to remember things that I should tell you. I might have left some things out. I may not have. But yeah, I really do hope this video helps you. Thank you so much for watching. Please do leave a like. It really does help out my little channel. But yeah, anything else, let me know. Remember to tag me in your shows when you're done. I'd love to check them out and have a look at them. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.